Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Understories with me, your host, Lindsay Fowler. This week we're speaking to Nataliya Volosovych, a portrait and event photographer based in Rotterdam. She got her start in the corporate world before making the leap and becoming a professional photographer. Now, not only is she deeply passionate about showing her clients at their best, what I loved about Nataliya's story was that while she had the first sparks of her love of photography early on, her dad was a photographer hobbyist. She didn't actually act upon it until well into her professional career. The calling finally became too strong for her to ignore. She followed her curiosity and passion and now runs a successful photography studio, proving that pivoting in your 30s and 40s is possible. I love this conversation so much. Nataliya is thoughtful and considered, but also deeply driven by connection, collaboration, and a sense of community. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely game, so ensuring you find people to mutually commiserate with, cheer on, and support is crucial to doing this for the long term. She also put me on the spot about my own success, which I loved. Before we get started, if you like this podcast, please give us a rating or a review wherever you're watching or listening. Tell a friend, and of course, don't forget to subscribe so that you get notified about future episodes, which come out every other Tuesday. And now, over to Nataliya. So, Nataliya, it's so nice to have you on Understories. Thank you so much for coming on. It's wonderful to have you. For people who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're based and, the story so far?
Thank you so very much for inviting me. It's really a true honor. It's my first podcast.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, very exciting, very exciting. It's always great to see you, and now to have this opportunity to speak about what I'm doing. So
Likewise.
Thank you for this opportunity once again. Really fantastic.
Pleasure.
My name is Nataliya Volosovych. I am, let me first define myself as Ukrainian Dutch. I live abroad half of my life now. And now I'm based in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And that's what, with my family, my husband and my two lovely boys, that's what we call home. Mm-hmm. I am a portrait photographer and an event photographer. I also run two brands. One is Photo Del Rey, which is all about awakening and reminding of the internal and external beauty of women and whoever stands in front of my camera, and offering them an amazing portrait experience of rediscovering who they are. And the other brand is Profile Studio. It's a little bit more business-oriented type of portrait photography, where I'm doing everything I can together with my team to make sure that people look very authentic, true to themselves on their business portraits, corporate photography, event coverage, and also very important, my most favorite, I would say, genre in this particular field is the personal branding photography, when I'm helping the entrepreneurs to really make sure that through their visual representation, they're able to show their passion, their love, and the idea behind their services, products, and their business idea in general. So that's how I would describe myself.
A multifaceted photographer that does many different types of shooting. Now, so because we met at Equals, and which is people who don't know it, it's a members club here in Amsterdam. We were there for a networking event. I think that's how we met. But you were saying that you spent you spent the beginning of your career in the corporate world. And then I think it's when you said when you guys moved to Rotterdam, you're like, nope, this is it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the thing I'm most passionate about. Can you tell us how you made that transition?
Yeah, that's quite a story out there. I was building my life and my career around marketing research. I combined all of my different educations because my life was changing, so I needed to adapt. And I was trying to be very creative and, combining all of my knowledge into a meaningful career path. And I was doing marketing research. I started from a smaller company, family-owned company in Houston. Then we moved to South Florida, and there I found a job in headquarters of Office Depot, and I was there first like analytical work, and then finally marketing research again. And then at some point, I just felt like, okay, that creative me. And when we were moving between the states, I had this urge. I was like, that close, to make a transition and say, you know what, like I really feel like maybe I want to try myself in photography. But it was so scary, Lindsay. It was
Oh.
it was very scary because I was looking back and I was like, all these years, all of that education, I will just like, shelve it and go into something new yet again. And I gave myself a deadline. I said, okay, let me give myself like maybe like 3 weeks, a month. And I was helping my mom and I was building a website for her business. So I
Mhm.
did that. I enjoyed it a lot. And I was thinking to myself, like, even this, and I was applying, I was looking for a job in my field. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, like, if in this, transition period of time, I will not find anything that I absolutely love, I will
Mm.
just like drop everything and I will do photography. And sure enough,
Mm.
I got I got a call and I got a beautiful interview and I was hired right on the spot and they gave me even a higher position that I was interviewed for. And I was
Oh.
like, okay, that's a sign, I'm staying here, paycheck
Oh
is
my
great.
gosh.
I was continue growing my career. So that
Yeah.
was another 5 years. And then eventually with my husband, when we decided, okay, we want really to go back to European lifestyle and go
Mm.
back to Europe because of the family as well. It will be closer in terms of traveling. We were looking for
Yeah.
different places. We ended up in the Netherlands. And that's when we were moving. I finally decided that, I think it's time to really just go for it. And
So
by
did you
that time,
have any
go
sorry to
ahead,
interrupt.
Rachel.
Did you have any training as a photographer but you just felt, or did you just feel this calling that you wanted to get into photography?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question because it's not like I was jumping into completely unknown, just like, oh,
Right.
let's figure this out. I was surrounded by film cameras, films, chemicals for developing films, printing equipment, all of that hobby things by my father, who will lock himself from time to time in our tiny small bathroom in full darkness. And under the red light, we'll do some magic. And I was so excited. I was just like, oh, what is happening there? And of course, I was not allowed to come in because the whole process will be
Yeah.
ruined. So it was always quite magical. So not even the photos element of enjoying and looking at the photos and like seeing, what the compositionally wise and what's happening, the subjects with with the story on the photos. It was more the process, I think, and the equipment, which was exciting for me. And now it's all vice
Mm.
versa. Like I care less about what equipment I use for that. For me, it's important what kind of story I tell through my photography. So I think it was a great influence of my father and his hobby. And then
Mm.
eventually, I ended up running around in school, high school. I was doing informal photos of all of my classmates and parallel groups as well. And then the
Yeah.
graduation photos, we didn't have such a I don't know, tradition or luxury of having professional photographers taking photos of graduation photos. So I was the
Yeah.
one who was taking photos of everybody and, this way preserving the history. And then
Yeah.
it was just always with me, some kind of camera was omnipresent in my world, I would say. And then
Mm.
eventually when I got really tired of, being told what I have to do and what kind of things will happen next, and all of that, like being in the corporate world in general, I
Mm.
decided to systemize my knowledge a little bit, and I enrolled myself to a New York Institute of Photography. It was a long distance education, and in around 2 years, I completed all of the units, and I sort of like put everything together into. I tried studio photography for the first time. That was one of my assignments. I was terrified. I thought like
Right.
never.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, I will be
It must
doing
feel so
what
intimidating. Like it's so
it
intimidating
is.
because yeah. Oh my gosh.
And I would say it's intimidating because I think at that point I was already not so comfortable to be in front of the camera. So I was thinking like, oh my
Sure.
goodness, if I don't know how to be in front of the, how will I will take a good pictures of people who are in front of my camera? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
mostly, I
completely.
would say, like architectural photography, macro photography, nature photography, landscapes. I was doing all of that, but just not
Wow.
people. Please, no people, no street photography, no, And funny enough, I asked my wonderful, wonderful friend and a person whom I'm so thankful together with my husband. These are two champions in my life who really kicked my back, and
Yeah.
inspired me. I asked her, she was working with me at Office Depot, and I said, like, listen, you have a little one, you have a family, I need to complete this assignment. Do you mind to come for a weekend, on a weekend, come to my house, and I will set
Yeah.
up my studio equipment, and I will try to figure it out. Like you will be my,
Your subject,
my
my
people for the
guinea
group
pig.
session. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh
And
my gosh.
they came, we had a lot of fun. I think Liselle's little one was at that point around 3, 4, something like that. So it's like a
Wow.
fun age. They explore everything. And
Yeah.
I went to Walmart. I bought 2 curtains. It was the more like velvety ones. I bought the sewing machine and I put them together. I still have this backdrop that I'm using for my photography. It's a great memory. It's a great start.
Yeah.
Great memorabilia. And we did the session. And then when I showed her the photos, and believe me, they're not so great. I mean, like if I'm looking at them now, for me, they're like, oh my God, what was I doing? But she loved it so much and she saw something in me. And she's like, what are you doing? It's sitting in the office in front of the computer, working with the data.
Oh, that's
Need
so
to be out.
interesting.
Yeah. And she started literally sending me clients. So on the weekend, I had to pick up a camera and start working,
Oh my
and
gosh.
trying myself in this field. And my husband was very
Did
supportive as well.
did she say what it was about? Because I'm assuming she must have had her portrait taken before in some sort of capacity,
Yeah, yeah.
But did she say what it was about working with you that felt so different, and what she was like, no, you have to be doing this. Go out and do this.
I think maybe she didn't expect that I would be still able to capture really cool moments. I think
Mm.
it was more of I didn't know how to pose, so I was just following natural movement of a child and them. And of course, I prepared. I had my like visual cues, and all of that. I followed
Yeah.
the advice that was given, but mostly technical advice that was given by the school. And
Yeah.
in terms of posing, I really don't remember that it would be described. I mean, like maybe a little bit about composition, this and that. And then the rest, I was just following my internal compass of,
Mm.
trying to figure out what will look good as a final result on the camera. And I think it was that. I think she was pleasantly surprised that the result was very good in her eyes. For me,
Yeah.
it was also very good at that stage. But it's great to look back now. I'm like, oh, I see, I've
Yeah.
grown. I have grown
Yeah.
big
Oh,
time.
yeah. Oh, completely. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and
That's
I'm so
amazing.
eternally grateful for her. I remember that some years later, we're still very good friends, although we didn't see each other for a really, really long time.
Mm.
And we're still very close. It's like when distance doesn't matter and time doesn't
Yeah.
matter. When we get on the
Yeah.
phone, like we just were hugging each other 5 minutes ago. That type of a connection that we have, and I
Yeah.
really love. And I remember at one of the conversations she said, like, I'm so glad that you figure out your passion in life. And so
Mm.
mine that I picked up camera professionally and registered my business in my early 30s. So I coined this this phrase as this is my premature midlife crisis that I went through.
Yeah, yeah,
So
there's something about that. I think, but do you wonder about maybe, I don't know, I think maybe there's a lot of things to do, maybe being women doing their own thing. But I'm wondering if there's something about having to kind of go through these experiences of testing what doesn't work before we're willing to actually do the thing that we really want to do, but we're feeling a bit weird about doing. Because you just think, well, you got to do it. If you have a passion for something, you got to do it. But maybe you aren't in the place to actually action on that passion until you're sort of at a later stage in life. I mean, 30 is
yeah,
still really young, let's be honest, but
yeah. Well, I would say that what I notice in general, because I work a lot with people who are coming to my studio now for business portraits, and I talk to men and women, and you
yeah.
see in general how we have as two genders, let's put it this way, like two different groups, how we have a very different approach to
Mm.
how much we dare. I think men
Mm.
just naturally dare much more. Like, even if they don't know 100% everything, they just like, I got the idea, I got the concept, just go for it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
us women, we like second guess ourselves. We're like perfection in everything, you know. We just make sure, maybe we're a little bit more cautious. Maybe it's in our
Yeah.
nature because, you know, we are the ones who produce offsprings, and maybe it's
Mm.
like built-in mechanism in our nature that we need to be a little bit more careful because we take care of the little ones, and we need to make sure that
Mm.
they don't get out from the nest. Maybe that, I'm not sure, but I
Mm.
really would love to empower women to follow their dream and to follow their passion and to be a
Mm.
little bit more daring, you know. I know it's hard, and it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter your age. It can happen even later in life. I know so
Yeah.
many beautiful examples where women change. I had one client, she came to me, gosh, I don't remember what her exact age was, but she was somewhere between 50 and 60.
Wow.
Okay, she moved to the Netherlands recently following her husband's career path. And
Mm.
she came to my studio, and I'm always asking, like, what for? What are we doing today? Like, what is it for? Who is your final audience? Let's
Mm.
put it this way. Even if it's for LinkedIn, it's very important for me
Yeah.
to understand what's your
Yeah.
direction to the career,
Yeah.
because that will dictate the style of the portrait, you know, the posing and everything, what kind of atmosphere we create. And she
Mm.
said, I am changing my career drastically. And she said, like, I'm going for it. It's a new country and everything. I want to try. And I'm going for
Wow.
ABC. I don't remember what exactly it was. You know, it was some years ago. But
Yeah.
I was just so impressed. I was just like, wow, you go, girl. You know, this is so inspirational.
It's so exciting. I do think I'm starting to see this more, and I don't know if maybe it's just like the Instagram algorithm that shows me more of the stuff. But you do start seeing more women who are more willing to take risks at a bit later on in life. They're starting new careers at 40, 50. You know, I started consulting at 40, which I never thought I would do that in a heartbeat, because I was like,
Wow.
you know, I was like on my own career trajectory with somebody else or with some other with another company, and I thought, oh, this is what I'm going to be doing. But I think that's the thing, is sometimes, like, I don't know, maybe as we get older, we start really, and I think possibly the pandemic as well made a big shift with this. I think it helped for people who had the luxury to sit and think about what was going on in their lives. It gave an opportunity to think about, what do I really want? What do I really want to do with this? Also, because it felt so tenuous at the time, and it was so unsettling in so many ways. How long ago did you start doing this then? So it was when you guys moved here. Was that like, did you tell me that was like 9 years ago? Did I make that up?
No, it's a little bit longer now. It was in 2010, so this year
2010.
will be 14 years. Yeah,
14
14 years.
years.
So I started trying myself while having full employment, which I think is the best way to do it because it gives you a
Mm,
little bit of less stress, you know. I
yeah.
think if you have a luxury to maintain your full employment and then try
Yeah.
something on the weekends, on the evenings, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
It gave me just feel, you know, at least because in United States it was almost like this. Hey, I'm a photographer now. Okay, line of people. I don't know, like that's how it was for me, you know.
Oh, if it
Here
was so
I can,
easy.
well, you know, of course I'm slightly
I know.
exaggerating, but it
I know. I
was,
know.
you know, it was quite, yeah, it was quite an easy transition, and I will explain in a second why. We came to the Netherlands. I definitely decided to go for my own thing. I got my
Mm,
husband on board. First, he was scared. He was terrified. He's like, "Really, we're losing the full, you know, extra income and all of that." And
yeah.
uh, we didn't have kids yet at that point, you
Uh-huh.
know. So it was just him and me. And he's like, "But I'm all behind you. You just do it, you know, and let's
Yeah.
see how it will." I have my trust and I believe in you. And that's
Yeah.
also very, very important when you have an internal support at home
Yeah. That
versus
makes a big
when it
difference.
walks around like, "Are you done with this hobby playing thing?" I hear it a lot as well from you know, from some of
Yeah.
clients or friends of mine where spouses are not so supportive, and it can be on either sides, can be man or women, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I think it's very important when you have this support system and nurturing system at home, so at least you're not looking back and saying, "Oh my God, I was not able to provide the income that I thought I will by
Yeah. Yeah.
by year one I will be at such and such level." It's hard
Yeah.
to predict times. It's very
Yeah.
hard.
I mean, I have
So
someone I have someone I know who doesn't have a support system, and they find it really hard. It's like, to be a creative entrepreneur, to do something
yeah,
that you're really passionate about. but to not have that person cheerleading you. I mean, coaches, friends, whoever can do it as an ad hoc thing, but not having someone at home every day being like, how was your day? How did what did you struggle with? Like, that's, being there to kind of be a sounding board. It makes such a difference if you're lucky enough to have it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. That's why I realize how grateful and how blessed I am with my friend and
Mm.
with my husband.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that allowed me, because otherwise it would be super scary, and I think I would just I opt out for a safe route of just going into employment. And what a
Yeah.
waste it would be, like, because that
Mm.
gives me so much pleasure. Like, I
Mm.
enjoy my everyday, even when it's hard, even when I'm getting rejections, or people say, "Oh, I cannot do it at this point," or clients are not booking, or something, like anything like that.
Yeah.
Even through that, I understand that, you know, I'm really blessed with what I'm doing. So
Mm.
in that respect, absolutely, I think it's very important to have that support in the face of either your friends or surroundings, or maybe like having a networking, like where we met,
Yeah. Yeah.
some kind of an environment where you get recharged in a way, and
Yes.
reconfirm that you're on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. I think that one of the things I've noticed since I've joined Equals is that, I mean, obviously we talked about this before, but just first of all, how supportive everyone is of each other, which is
Yeah.
very rare. You don't necessarily come across that often. I think especially around women, which I know is a terrible thing to say, but I think women can be really almost worse to each other.
Yeah.
In some ways, there's like a
Yeah.
sense of
No, and
competitiveness or whatever.
sure.
But in there, it doesn't seem like that. Everyone's like, oh, and there's so many entrepreneurs that have launched businesses in the last 4 or 5 years, and really interested in having that network, because it is lonely when you're doing this by yourself. It is lonely, even if you have a partner who's supportive. It can be very lonely because if they're working in a job that, is very consistent for them, having that someone who actually understands, like when you have like those days that you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, or am I crazy? Like, is this really worthwhile doing? Having someone be like, oh, no, no, this is just a dip. You'll get out of this. It makes such a difference. I think community
Yeah.
is really important. It's really, really important.
Very, very important. And I would tell you that when I came to the Netherlands, it was quite hard to find a community, especially in Rotterdam. It's very international, but it's a different international. It's international
Mm,
driven by the port and the main industry, logistics, and everything around it, I would say. And,
right.
I couldn't find any other photographers around me with whom
Mm.
I can be, that would be my circle. So I was lucky to find a photo club of international photo, well, people who
Oh,
like photography.
wow.
It was not just
Yeah.
professional photographers, but that was in The Hague. So I always keep saying, like, when things will happen in Rotterdam.
I'm
Uh,
surprised. I would think Rotterdam, it's got such a reputation for being such a design hub, such a creative place, but I'm surprised that there wasn't anything like that.
well, but it's more for Dutch speaking, so you would have a
Oh.
lot of networking. But, when we came, uh, we didn't know language at all. So
Mm.
we had to start from scratch. No network, no friends, no language, no understanding, full understanding of the culture, nothing. So it was a
Yeah.
completely new environment in that respect. So I was
Yeah.
looking for something international, something English speaking, so I can at least, communicate. And
Yeah.
what I found was in The Hague, also very grateful to that club, because it gave me a lot of information. It gave me a lot of wonderful
Mm.
friends and people with whom I started things, who encouraged me and gave me the right information for me to finally, register myself
Yeah.
here and start my business. And then slowly, one after the other, with the word of mouth, I keep meeting more people. And then
Yeah.
I got pregnant 3 months after we moved in here. And so I joined later the international sort of group of moms. And that was also a great
Uh,
support system, because there was a lot of women also running around with their passions. And so we were like
mm,
a supporting network for each other, not in the motherhood, but also in nurturing the ideas of what else we can do in life while we're here in a foreign country and rebuilding our life.
wow.
And some were like just, temporarily. Some, like us, turns out that it's more of a permanent place. And that's
Pretty
where,
place to stay.
yeah, yeah.
So So you've been doing this now for 14 years. What's been some of the most surprising things that have happened to you
Great
in this
question.
time?
Great. I think the most surprising thing was when I started. I thought that I'm already figure out being confident and like figure out my self value
Mm,
and all of it. When I was in corporate, when I had work, when I had career, when I had a title, all of
yeah.
that. And then when I started my business, I faced with a little Natalia who was lost in life. And I didn't know how to present even myself because I was so not sure. What am I doing? So people will say like, "Hey, what's your name? Where are you from?" And after all of this, this question, they're like, "So what do you do?" And terrified eyes. I'm like, "I am a photographer." Very not sure.
And they're like, "Are you
Like,
asking me?"
and they're like, interesting. What do you? What exactly? I'm like, I'm photographing people. So I did. I mean, I was so
Yeah.
lost in. And
Yeah.
I heard it somewhere a long time ago. I will not like steal the phrase, but I use it a lot because it's very descriptive of the processes. I'm always saying like, if you want to learn more about yourself, start your own business and become a parent.
Oh my God. Yes. 100%. Yeah.
And that has happened to me almost simultaneously because I started the
Yeah.
business and 3 months later I got pregnant. So
Oh my
these two
God.
things, your child will keep triggering things that you didn't work through or lessons that you didn't pass in your
Yeah.
life. And the same with
Yeah.
your own business. You keep facing things and challenges where you didn't learn the lesson, so to say, you know?
So what
And
were some of
so
those for you? What were some of those challenges then
well,
that came up?
definitely the confidence in what I do, how I present
Mm,
myself, how I feel about myself, self-love, like
mm,
in a very positive, inspiring and like supporting way,
yeah.
knowing how to draw my boundaries with the clients and with my child as well.
Mm,
All of those things were not figured out, turns out. And I thought I'm like such a grown up, like, I know it all. No.
you're like, no.
So I think it's nothing to do with business, right? Look, it's nothing to do with business processes and hardships or anything like this. Because I think
No.
all of that you can figure out. You can pick up the book, you can ask the right person, you can hire somebody, an expert, you can go to, I don't know,
Yeah.
to a tax office and ask the question if it's something taxation wise, you
Mm,
can take the workshop if it's something photography related, master your skills. I mean, this is straightforward for me. This is no problem. But what's happening
mm.
here and here in the
Oh yeah.
process, I think that's the most difficult thing because
Yeah.
you need to face with, okay, how do I take rejection? How do I accept
Mm,
money? How do I project that I'm confident and I love myself and I know what I'm doing? People feel
mm,
this. And
mm.
first years, I was surprised. I was just like, why am I not attracting the right client? Like, what am I doing wrong? Is
Yeah.
it my work? Is it not good enough? Do I need to change my portfolio? And then I realized I'm just, my waves are telling them like I'm not confident. I don't
Yeah.
value my work. I don't value my time, truly,
Do you think this is something that, because I work with a lot of creatives, and I see this thing come up a lot, right? This is like the kind of the valuing of the work is so intertwined with the value of the person, like the value of how they see their value, because it's such an emotional thing that they're doing. I haven't, and the irony, of course, is that I've discovered these exact same experience in my own business that, I get, it's just, it makes me laugh because I'm like, I get scared to price people properly. I get scared to like put out that confidence. And I'm sitting here on the, being that person being like, yeah, believe in yourself. You can do it and charge more. And I just wonder if there's something about this, that there's just something so difficult, I think, particularly within a creative entrepreneurial experience, that makes it especially psychologically tricky and um, not as easy to navigate. Because I think if you're a tech startup and you're just starting this business and you have a product that's really easy to kind of you're building, it feels somehow like it must be easier because it's kind of externalized. Whereas if you're creating something that's very personal, I mean, even if you're taking pictures of people, your job is to show up as you to help bring out the best in them. And there's something extremely vulnerable about that, right? How do
Yeah,
you, I
yeah.
mean, how do you navigate that?
I would say that first of all, it's something that you need to figure out in you.
Mm,
Second of all, it was really great for me to find a mentor to whom I would
mm,
trust and who was the person who showed me things through her experience and through her knowledge and through her multiple failures that it's
yes.
possible. You are
Yeah.
able to get up again. And
Yeah.
she's a million now, and she's over 50, and she's
Yeah.
thriving, and she's the most confident her that she ever was. And she's saying it herself. Sue Bryce, I love her. She is amazing, not just a portrait photographer, but also a mentor, an educator, and
Mm,
so many other talents. And she
mm,
inspired so many other photographers to really find, especially women, but men as well, to find
mm,
that self-confidence to work with that value, and to really come to the next level in the business and showing
mm.
that it's possible. And she's always saying, like, don't give me this excuse that you're in a small village and there is nobody to photograph around. you know
Not in this day and age. No, no, no.
don't like, you need to be in New York or Los Angeles or, like, Amsterdam
Yeah.
only, and that's where all your clients are. Your clients are
Yeah.
all everywhere. Like, wherever you see women, you have clients, period. And
Yeah.
she's tough, but she is understanding, and she's giving so much value, so much knowledge. And I think
Mm,
without her, I would be very lonely, and I will be digging for a very long time to figure out my path. So,
mm.
coming back to your question, I think so. You were asking, like, value in terms of how do I balance
Yeah.
the value in me, and at the same time, I think what's important is whenever you figure out everything internal, you
Mm,
start radiating that externally as
mm,
well. And unfortunately, all of the creative jobs and a creative industry, whatever that is very undervalued because
mm,
I think we are like the product of this industrial, revolution and everything that happened after this, that you need to produce a product, like you need to touch it, it needs to be physical, and then you
mm.
have a value. But all of this clicking away, now everybody has a camera of some sort, even on your phone, and
Yeah.
it's just easy. It's not a big deal, right? Like how it's easy to produce a portrait, or some kind of a picture, and then put millions of filters on it, look
Yeah.
30 years younger than you are, and all of that.
Yeah.
But uh, I think it's what also happened internally in photography business, for example, is that because of our photographers, I mean, not confidence in what we do, not valuing our work, we are ourselves are undermining our business. And I will explain what I mean by
Mm,
that. Not charging the right proper level of money for your skill, giving away too much and not receiving back. For me, money is exchange of energy. It's when I produce the work and I receive for it. When you are under receiving,
mm.
that's disbalance. It's nothing good there
Yeah.
happens. You know
Did
this,
you
right?
ever? Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, completely. But this is the challenge, right? Because, do you ever feel like, what am I asking? Do you ever feel as if that, like, well, there's two sides of it, right? There's the
Mhm.
people who would do the work anyway and wouldn't worry about being paid, right? Because they love doing what they're doing anyway, and it's like their passion, they're happy doing it. But of course, they need to be paid, so I guess they'll get paid bare minimum. But on the other side of that, there's a kind of a insidious mindset about making money from creativity, which can be very, very damaging. It can feel as if you're sort of selling out, or you're somehow cheapening the work that you're doing by wanting to actually make a living from it, which I don't really understand where this has come from. I don't understand why creativity has always been treated as like less than, and like in that it doesn't have the same value. I, I mean, you don't seem like the person who's like, because you're saying right there, like, no, I'm doing something that I need to be paid for. But like, did you start off that way? Did it take some time to get to that level?
No, of course
Enough.
not. No, I think it's quite natural in the beginning to be
Mm,
not confident, trying things out. I tried all of the genres in photography. before I
Yeah.
realized that, I want a niche. I will purge everything and I will recreate my portfolio and I will go for a niche. But I needed experience for that. I needed to try things out. So I think it's quite natural. What I'm saying is that
Mm.
you can start working pro bono. You can start working with the collaborations, doing things for free to build your portfolio, to get you experience, whichever creative field that is. Not necessarily
Yeah.
photography, but just in general.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, when you feel like, okay, I think I'm on a professional good level now, and I need to step up, and I need to start charging, because what you're doing, you're shooting yourself and your industry in the foot. If you continue taking ridiculous money and charge ridiculous prices for what you do, people come to you, they take the service, the product, whatever it is, and they create this mindset. So we trade the population, we trade our client that train them that it's nothing, it cost me nothing. It's just 24 hours for me to spend to create this beautiful portrait, but you just take it for
Yeah.
free. It's okay, you just take it, whatever, because I don't value my time and myself. So what happens is that at some point you need to step up and you need to have the courage and work on this money blocks, just popular things now these days that we're talking about. But I truly believe it. And I was working on this because culturally and,
Sure.
religious background and all of it, it's having these layers that,
Yeah.
money is bad, to be rich is dirty thing, and all of that crap that we are taught since childhood,
Yeah.
and all of this thing. And especially for creative industries, as I was saying, it can be very subjective. Like you are a painter and you are doing some
Right.
modern art. Nobody
Yeah.
except for you understands what you are drawing there, or painting.
Yeah.
And people
Yeah.
discount it. They're like, this is rubbish, and so the question is, what do you do in that situation? So I think what helped me eventually is, first of all, to have a mentor to look up to, somebody, keep doing the internal work, and at some point to gather my courage together and, just figure out how do I package my knowledge, my experience, and my skills, and what I'm charging for that. At some point, you need to realize that saying no is not destroying yourself and your business. Saying no is basically opening an opportunity to a big yes. And maybe it's not 300, clients that are standing in line waiting for me for like some kind of a very ridiculous price, but it will be
Yeah.
2 or 3, which I will enjoy the project, where they will value the final product. They will eternally be grateful, tears of happiness and all of that when they see their portraits. And they
Yeah.
will pay for me with gratitude, and I will receive it with gratitude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that mindset was not like it's just go, done. Unfortunately, not. It didn't happen like this. The other
No.
very important element, I think, for you and for me in our story is that we didn't come with you into what we're doing right away after school. So I'm in creative industry not because I was a photographer my whole entire youth. I was in business and I was making money for something else, which was appreciated. I had a nice paycheck, all of that. And then I
Yeah.
accumulated all this business knowledge. And then I stepped into creative. And I didn't throw all of that baggage away. I'm using it every day. I'm using my
Yeah.
marketing research skills. I'm using my sociological skills. I'm using my language skills. All of that, it's part of my business. It
Yeah.
helps me to realize that my talent needs to be converted. I need to live off of it. I need to be able to pay rent for my studio, for my equipment, for my life in general, to contribute to our family budget as well. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a little bit easier for me in that way than I think people who come from photography school and step into the business right away. Although I hear, because I work with interns from different countries now, it's in the Netherlands, mostly internationals, that even the creatives are taught the business side of it, which is spectacular. I think it's
Really?
just,
Of
yes, yes.
photography?
Well, for example, I have now somebody from Breda University, and
Yeah.
he's doing videography, if I'm not mistaken. It's media communication and design,
Yeah.
something like this,
Yeah.
the name of the department. And they have a module where they talk about financing your projects, how to get the funds, how to deal
Amazing.
with accounting, what goes, what all the elements that are behind the scenes, the understories, so to say, in a way, that are
That
behind the scenes of the creative work that they produce. I
Yes.
was also inquiring for high school for my youngest one. He wants to be an actor, and he is just super excited about theater school, high school here in Rotterdam. We went there, and at the open days, the director was talking about what they are teaching there. So, of course, there's
Mm.
like they have actor skills, drama classes, dance, singing, photography as well, videography, all of the stuff. And then he said, and then every year our students come together and they have a task to put together a local festival. And they need to do everything from finding, marketing, finding the funds, uh,
Mm.
writing the scenarios, figuring out the light, the sound, the place, the everything, and then they give away this money back into community as a charity, something like they will invest it into some kind of charity
Yeah.
work. How
Yeah.
amazing is that? We're talking about
That's
12-year-old.
amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, that's the thing is everybody's, I mean, because, I work with a lot of architects and designers, and a lot of them are like, yeah, but we're not taught any of this stuff in school. I mean, they learn some of it in their sort of upper, and particularly in the UK, like in their part 3, they learn some business things and about, but, they don't talk about marketing that much. They don't talk about management of people, the way that you can grow a business, how you to think about things, how to, you know, how sales is so crucial to actually having a thriving business, which I think is, I'm starting to realize, it's like, it's the thing that's like left out. It's like you think people are going to come to you for the work that you do, but if they don't know about you, you're just going to sit
You
around
need to
twiddling
tell
your
them,
thumbs. You
you need
have
to
to,
sell yourself. Yeah, there is
yeah.
no way. It's not, I was thinking that, like I was telling, like in US, I will just say, hey, I'm a photographer, and the line of people just not
Yeah.
even close. Not even close.
Not even close. It's so
Yeah.
true. It's so true. So,
So I
I
think
asked,
there is hope. At
go
least
ahead.
in the Netherlands here, what I see. Sorry for interrupting you, but I
No.
think I think there is hope for creatives. At least here,
Mm,
among the locals, the way the system approaches it, I'm
mm,
welcoming it so much. And on my
mm.
part, what I'm doing right now, as I mentioned, I do have interns. This is my first year that I work with the students. And yes, I'm not able to provide them with a decent salary for what they do with me for 4 or 5 months. But
Yeah.
I know that there are such a scarcity of photographers who would offer an opportunity to have a practical experience for students,
Mm,
that I think that me sharing with them all the ins and outs, and especially the business part and
yeah.
psychological part of it, and giving them an opportunity in a very small business where it's very, very hands-on. I mean, they don't cook, they don't make coffee for me, and they don't cook for me, and don't clean up the dishes. Nothing, not
They're not PAs.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's not like it's in a big organization. Sometimes they take interest, when in reality they don't really
They
have a
just make
lot of
tea.
practical
Yeah.
things for them. Just hang out,
Yeah.
hang around, and do observations, which is, yes, useful, but it's not so practical.
No.
So for me, it's very hands-on, and I love to share with them. I love to spend time with them, and I love to give back in a way, because I want them to not to go through such a tough times figuring out things
Yeah.
which they can just pick up from me or from school or from
Yeah.
somewhere else.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing the same actually, because I know that there's a Masters of Creative Business here at University of
Hmm.
Amsterdam. And I'm thinking of reaching out to them and doing something similar, because not only because I could really use the, Kat and I could really use the help in terms of the business. We're getting really
Definitely.
busy, but also just the opportunity to just help starting to make a little bit of a difference and getting them to think in a slightly different way than what they
And
might
I
be
would I
thinking.
would tell you that you also learn from them a lot. It's very
100%.
interesting to see how the new generation perceiving the world in general.
Yeah.
How they live in this completely uh, internet, social media driven world. We were not born into it; they were.
No.
We
No.
just stepped into it from a very pre-internet into internet world.
Yeah.
So we saw both sides. For them, it's a whole different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very interesting also to hear their thoughts, and their
Mm.
process, how they approach things, and what kind of worries they have, and you know, and where they lack guidance maybe, and offer
Yeah.
this wisdom and guidance to them. So
Yeah.
very very nice process of exchange of this also really great
Yeah.
energy with the youth.
Yeah. Yeah,
Really enjoying it. I
completely.
would recommend you
I
ladies try it.
yeah, yeah, you've actually inspired me. I think I'm gonna put together a proposal for UVA because I think like yeah, it just sounds really. I mean, also it's just interesting, and I mean, I had a conversation with someone earlier this week who is the son of a friend of my aunt's, very roundabout way, but he's an architect. He's looking to get into the industry and he's not sure what he's going to do. But it was amazing to talk to him. He's like 20 years old and he's worrying that he's running
Mm-hmm.
out of time for things. And he's worrying that he's going to miss out on stuff. And I wanted to be like,
Yeah,
slow down. You got time.
yeah,
Like, don't worry about it. But I also understand there's like an angst. And I wonder if it's partly the world that they've grown up in, which is where everything is so quick happening. And the idea of patience is very foreign because they expect things to be very instantaneous and all that. Um, I
my
mean, I could talk
current
to you for
intern,
ages, but
yeah, he shared, my current intern shared with me. He said there are such high expectations of my generation
yeah,
that you are by 25, you already run a successful business, invented something, you are in the top five of
yeah.
the best of this and that, and with that you stay healthy, mentally fine, and this and that and that.
Oh,
And he said this is just so much pressure, and you feel
so
like
much
you are
pressure.
trying to catch up with that, and then this is just
Yeah,
just too much. So
yeah.
to it's it's
It's too
completely
much.
different, the challenges that they're facing. Not to say like we had our challenges, but for them it's a completely different world.
It's a
Helps you
completely
to
different world.
understand better the younger population around us, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So, we're almost out of time. So I always ask everybody what success looks like to them because I think it's a really interesting way of thinking about it. You were in the States for a long time. My accent belies my history. Like success from America is about making money. It's about making lots of money and having all the things that you want. But when I do this with people, it tends to be very rarely about money. So, what is it for you? What does success look like for you?
I think it's a very good question, which makes me really think about it.
Mm,
I think it would not be about money because money will just come along with that. And I
yeah.
don't take it as a thirst for fame, because that's
Mm,
not that. I
mm,
think I would be really, really happy and feel like, yes, I made it, when people will recognize my brand and they will say, you need to come to Natalia for the photographer, for the portrait or for the
yeah.
photography. Like
Yeah.
you have to, like when people hear Foto del Rey or Profile Studio, they're like, oh yes, that one I know. This is really cool.
Yeah.
So if that awareness of what I produce, and also appreciation, and my level will be on such level that that it just automatically creates that line that I'm still dreaming of. So I don't need to run around and find the clients. They will be
Yeah.
looking for me. I think that's a success, and of course that will bring everything else with it.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
first of all, it will bring a great pleasure of me doing my job and being
Mm,
appreciated,
mm,
on a more massive scale. Like I know I'm appreciated already when I see tears of the eyes and the of happiness of the people who come and pick up their
yeah.
portraits, and they just so thankful, and they keep like
Yeah.
sending me gifts of flowers after this, and it's
You're like,
you're like,
thank you
okay,
for
I didn't
making me not
expect
look
that.
awkward. Yeah.
Like I know already that I'm on the right path. I know already that
Mm,
I'm enjoying, and I'm doing it with love and passion, and people
mm.
feel it and they appreciate it. But when it's this awareness will go to the next level, I think that would be a true success for me.
That's true
You know?
success. What a lovely answer.
How about,
So,
how about you?
for
Share with
me,
me. I know
success.
you always ask that, but I'm just curious. How about you, Lindsay? What do you see as a what does it look like a success for
That's a really good question to hit back at me with. For me,
you?
success is actually, I think it's actually kind of similar. It's I want us to be known for the place to be for creative business, to actually be a catalyst to change how the industry thinks about creativity and how it thinks about business within creativity. I think if we could be on, oh, you need to work with them. if you're struggling with the business side, to go talk to them, because, we are so passionate about making sure that creatives get paid for what they do. Like, it's like a
Yeah.
real mission for us that, if to be known for that would be a great success. And yeah, you're right. Money or reputation follows those things, but it's not the driver. It's not the thing. And I think for me, definitely the challenge has been making that the reason, as opposed to being so worried about not being successful, or not trying to, making sure that I can make money into that we can survive. But it's actually like making that. And when I realized, I mean, this is a bit ooh wow, but when I realized, when I made that head shift, things shifted. Like, things, and you're right. It's like the energy that you put out there comes back at you. And so if you're putting out this element of scarcity or worry or lack of confidence, people pick it up, and you don't receive, you don't get the abundance to you. Very well. Way to throw the question back at me.
You didn't expect that. I didn't expect as well, but I really wanted to hear from you, because you said yourself that you are coming from a culture where success is a very, like, American dream is a very defined thing.
Yes.
When
yes,
we
very
came
much.
to the United States, my husband, like, it was it was like very particular checklist that you go through. And I think that was one of the things that after we achieved a lot of things in that checklist, we turned around and we realized, I think we want something a little bit different. And so that was a catalyst for us, as you said, to change something in our lives. And that's when I looked deeper into, like, who am I? Like, what do I? What's my path? What do I really want to do? Am I living for the paycheck? So make sure that financially we're stable and all of that. But like, when will I start living my life? Like, when everything that I have here will be finally given and and enriched, enrich my surroundings as well. So it's a very interesting question. But thank you for sharing, and thank you for
no,
playing
you're
along.
welcome. Oh no, I'm honored. Okay, so we always end with a few quick fire questions, because it's a good way to end, and always keeps people on their toes a little bit. So if your photography business had a mascot, what would it be and why?
The mascot. Can it be not? I remember in US it's usually like an animal or something. Can it be
it could
not
be
an
an animal. Yeah, it could be an animal. Someone used a surfboard. Someone's used a surfboard before, which I really like.
Okay. Well, for me, for sure, it's a sunflower.
Oh, for Ukraine.
For not just for Ukraine, this is my favorite flower. And then I kind of realized that, Ukraine is also sunflower. But it's not. It represents of the sun. It's a great energy, so it warms us up. It's responsible for many processes, photosynthesis, vitamin D in our skin, all of that, right? So it's very vital. But it also represents light, and for me, light is photography. Photography without light is not possible. There are like so many, cues in it, and it was present very like into your face on my logo when I started. And then slowly with the years it changed. It's still present there. It's a flower sort of thing, but you will not, without knowing what it is, you will not figure out
it's a bit more abstract than
sunflower. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It's very layered, actually. I love that.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
Yeah. As all good mascots are. What's your favorite thing about your job?
My favorite thing is to see people go, oh, how did you do this? It looks so wonderful. How did you make it look like this? And I'm getting this, goosebumps, and happiness is just like jumping. I love the reaction. I was very, very scared in the beginning to show the back of my camera when I was studying, because I was just like, oh my God, I will be so scared. I need to do so much work still on that photo and this and that. And when I mastered the light, that's why light is very important. When I figure out how to exactly pose people in a natural way, how to relax them in front of the camera and everything. And when I realized that, wow, I have already 98% of a final result is already in my camera. So I just need a little bit of it. I start turning that camera around and showing them in the process. You need to see this. This is just, oh my God, it's just such a wonderful feeling. They're like, wow. And you see the angel wings behind. Quite of a sudden, they become very, very.
They're probably more confident. Yeah. I was going to say.
Like, wow, I can do it. I look like a supermodel. She was not lying when she was saying this, So I think I really love people's reactions about it.
I
I
love
think
them.
that's really cool. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. And the last question would be, let's see. I mean, this might
Yeah.
work for you as a photographer. So what's your favorite color combination to work with and why?
Color combination. Tell me a little bit more in a photo session,
Yeah.
or
Let's go with photo session. Yeah. Let's go photos.
okay. Well, I
I saw
love.
one, sorry, don't interrupt. I saw one on your website where
Sure,
there was a really
people. Oh
beautiful
yeah,
woman who had a blue shirt and there was a blue background that was mimicking it. She had these beautiful red earrings and it was just such a striking image. So
yeah.
how do you use color to bring out the best in people? Maybe that's a better way of asking the
Yeah,
question.
okay. This is great. That particular shoot was, for example, for a jewelry maker who made these beautiful earrings. It's a very
Mm.
modern design. It's a very cool story behind it. I will not go into it. Maybe you will, invite her for a podcast. I can hook you
Yeah.
guys up because it's
Yeah.
also an amazing story. Um, but I'm looking for something that will either juxtapose or go along with the whatever I'm photographing. If it's a piece of something which we need to integrate into the portrait,
Yeah.
or is it a feature of the person, like for example, eyes is the easiest one, or I'm looking at the skin tone, like what can I do, like what will work nicely in terms of contrast and everything. So I
Mm.
love everything from a very monotone um, type of neutral and soft colors to very bright, bold ones. And when you come to my, like for example, Instagram, because it's easier, like you have a feed, right? And
Yeah.
I work with a 3 tile, very challenging thing to do. 3 tile per row, and try to keep the same sort of color or style in that
Yeah.
row. We'll see, I go anywhere from very gentle, feminine, natural to bold, screaming, like very vital and very like energetic colors. And that's what I like
Mm.
about it, that I have freedom. Nobody's dictating me like, no, Natalia, you don't go to coral. This is like too much. Or you're like, oh, this is like all gray and whatever, it just blends in, like I can play with all of it and I can explore my inspirations and creativity, and then of course work with my client who is in front of me, because it needs to be coming from them as well. If that
Yeah.
woman is not into bold colors, of course I will not push for it.
No, of course. Of course. Oh,
But
so
good question.
interesting.
Yeah.
No.
Part
No,
of my
no, no. So if people want to follow your work, where can they find you?
They can find me for Profile Studio. It would be quite easy. Profile Studio altogether, one word, .nl. And on that website, you can see all the services that we provide. I have a team of specialists with whom I collaborate, and
Mm.
we do everything from headshots, personal branding, to makeup and hair, to career coaching, to English editing of the English, editing of the English texts for either your profile or websites or maybe
Ah,
research papers, you name it. So it's quite I wanted to create it as an umbrella. So profilestudio.nl, and then from there you can find us on social media if you love those platforms. You can
amazing.
find me on LinkedIn under my name. I just need to be a bit careful with the spelling, Nataliya Volosovych. And then for Foto del Rey, it is FOTODELRAY.com. So Foto del Rey. And that's a website where you see more of a modern glam portraits for women,
Mm.
and art portraits for children starting from 6 years old, and a lot of really cool little campaigns that we constantly run to empower women to show their beauty and to remind them of this beauty, and to make them walk a little bit taller,
Ah,
and have the wind behind their back. So it would be very lovely if somebody would like to reach out to me, absolutely, by any
yeah,
means that work for you. I would be glad
amazing.
to chat and and tell you more about our services and how we do things, and why we do them.
Amazing. Natalia, thank you so much for coming on. It's been such a lovely chat, and I really hope to see you in person very soon.
Lindsay, same here. wonderful conversation. As you said, it will flow naturally, and it did. You're such a great conversationalist as
Oh,
well.
thank
And
you.
hope
Oh, that's very kind.
it's easy to do it with you, and I'm looking forward to see the final result, of course. And and to see you in person so we can hug
Yes.
each other next
Yes,
time we see
indeed.
each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
indeed. Thank you
thank you
so
so much.
much. Thanks again to Nataliya for telling her story and for such a wonderful conversation. Honestly, I can't tell you how much I enjoyed speaking to her. Once again, if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, all those sort of things. And the episodes drop every other Tuesday. Until then, be well. Understories was produced by Cloudfields and Kieran Fowler. The music is by Aves, and the branding is by Joe Jones. See you in a couple weeks.